What's up, heroes? It is time for another edition of our morning book club. Let's go ahead and jump in. We are continuing to read Dale Carnegie's classic and almost 100-year-old book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. There's a reason this has been a classic and a bestseller for almost 100 years and why it's been reprinted, probably 100 different times. So we are on section 2 this week, and that is 6 ways to make people like you. Rundown of what these 6 techniques are. To start off, that is become genuinely interested in other people. Smile. Remember that a person's name, that's the sweetest and most important sound to them. Be a good listener. Encourage others to talk about themselves. Number 5, talk in terms of the other person's interest. And number 6, make sure the other person feels important and do it sincerely. So let's talk about becoming genuinely interested in other people. You can make more friends in 2 months by becoming genuinely interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you. Dale Carnegie is very brutal about this, but he's very right. People are not interested in you. They don't care. They're not interested in me. I'm surprised you're watching this video, but they are interested in themselves, morning, noon, and after dinner. So to become genuinely interested in other people, to foster this in yourself, do things for other people that require your time, your energy, require unselfishness, require thoughtfulness. Those are the things that will make people sit up and pay attention to you. And one nice little tip that Carnegie gives in this chapter is say hello, greet people in a tone that shows how pleased you are that that person called or that person came in to see you. So instead of just picking up the phone and saying hello, say, oh my gosh, great. I'm so glad you called. And the same thing when somebody comes in. I've seen this in my office so often. When a client comes in, the broker goes out to meet them like they're going to their death. Instead, you should be almost hugging them, welcoming them, patting them on the back. And then the other thing we all do, and I'm guilty of it too, for show, is instead of going out and greeting the person, we let the secretary do it. And have the secretary get them coffee to make it look like we're a big organization. You know what? Why not drop that act and run out and say, you know what? I've been waiting for you to come. I'm so excited you're here. You don't need to telegraph that you're important. You need to telegraph that the other person is important. And we'll talk about that in just a second. Second one is smile. I don't know that I've ever met a person whom I've thought smiles too much. And as Carnegie says, the expression one wears on one's face is far more important than the clothes one wears on one's back. And yet, how much time do we take focusing on what we're going to wear that day versus our facial expression? When I was in high school in show choir, we literally had to stand in front of a mirror for anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes straight, just smiling and learning to make it look genuine, look excited, look enthusiastic. It's a great use of your time. Do it every morning and then continue to remind yourself during the day. A great tip for anyone who does sales on the phone, and you probably have heard this before, is smile as you're talking. Literally, people can tell. They can tell the difference, even though they can't see you, if you just put on a smile, even if it's fake. I've heard of studies where the coach has told the person, put on a fake smile, and it still works. Your smile is a messenger of your goodwill. It brightens the lives of everyone who sees it. Think of your average worker during their day who's getting complained at, especially in service industries, getting complained at, yelled at. They see frowns all day. Carnegie says, your smile is like the sun breaking through the clouds. Isn't that amazing? I love the poetry of that. When someone is under pressure, a smile can help that person realize that it's not all hopeless. There is joy in the world. So a smile can do something for you. And also the biggest thing is it does something for other people. And it makes you way more approachable. Big one, people's names. I am guilty, I hope you're not, of being terrible with people's names, because as soon as I meet someone, my mind starts thinking about what I need to tell them, what the business is at hand. And what I need to do as soon as I meet them is be thinking their name over and over. So Carnegie gives some tips. He says, write it down. instantly ask, even if it's a very simple name, if they say, my name's Mark. Oh, how do you spell that? Is that M-A-R-K? Because I have a friend named Mark who's M-A-R-C. So ask for the correct spelling and pronunciation. And then especially in that first conversation, use it frequently. Unless you're using it every other sentence, the other person will never notice, but subtly you'll be telling them that they're important. As Carnegie says, people are so proud of their names that they will pay any cost to perpetuate them. So think of, billionaires putting their names on buildings and schools, art wings, centers, whatever. Another big one, and again, I'm super guilty of this. I hope you're not. Don't misspell or mispronounce a name. That's death, especially with a client. If you're trying to get business, you might as well just, you basically just spat on them. So it's way, way better to say, you know what? I want to make sure I get your name right. Can you pronounce it for me one more time? I had our neighbor next door. I completely forgot his wife's name. So I literally did ask him, Mark, I want to make sure I don't misspell your wife's name. How does she spell it? I didn't know her name was Anne. So I literally just asked him, how do you spell Anne? But he said, oh, you know what? That's a really good question. She normally spells it A-N-N, but because she's Vietnamese, it's actually A-N. So I got away with it. And it was just me covering for the fact that I'd forgotten it. Also, there are a lot of mnemonic devices you can use to remember it other than just repeating it. When I was in grad school, we would associate their name with an animal. So like I would be Rick the raccoon, something with the same first letter. Whatever you need to do, this is something you need to nail. This is way more important than anything else you're going to do in that first conversation. Next, be a good listener. Encourage people to talk about themselves. Exclusive attention to the person with whom you're speaking is very important. Nothing else is as flattering. So if you're multitasking, cut that crap out. Pay attention and listen with your eyes. Somebody who feels like your eyes are on them will feel so much more respected. Now that there is a little bit of social mirroring. If they aren't staring directly at you, you might need to mirror them a little bit more rather than just staring straight at them. But definitely err on the side of giving good eye contact. A very big one is don't interrupt. Let the person talk. Most of the time when someone is talking, we're thinking of our next comment or what we want to say. Drop that, cut that crap out. Listen and let them say their whole piece. Now, here's a very big thing in the service industry, and Starbucks was really good at teaching this. So I'm going to turn on the annotate function. It's called the mountain of anger or the anger peak. So when someone is mad, they typically are going to have a peak that they need to get up to before you can de-escalate them. And if you try to interrupt, let's say, they haven't gotten to exactly where they want to be and you cut them off, they come to you and they start complaining. In our case, my latte was bad. And you try to stop them right here. Well, you're not going to stop them. They're just going to start all over with going through that peak again because you didn't give them a chance to have their say. So they're going to go back here and they're going to start all over again, going up the anger peak. So what you need to do is you need to let that person progress all the way up to the top of their peak up here and keep your damn mouth shut until they get up there. So we would have people ask us all the time, how do I know when they've gotten up there? Do I just let them talk forever? How do I know when they're at the peak? Really easy. Once the person starts repeating themselves, that's when they're at their anger peak. So you let them get all their complaints out all through here. And then once they start going back to whatever the initial complaint was, if you just let them talk, they'll start doing it. Oh, like I said, as I was saying, as I first told you, that's when you can step in and say, okay, I understand you, and you can start intervening. But that's a really, really great way to be a good listener, and it will help you a lot in life. Finally, talk in terms of other people's interests. Carnegie says the royal road to a person's heart is to talk about the things that they treasure most. So if you have a big meeting with someone, a client, a friend, first time you're meeting them, do whatever research you can in advance. Now with Google, with LinkedIn, you can see what clubs they're into. And while you're talking to them, keep notes. I literally will take notes in my planner while a person's talking. And as long as you're giving eye contact, the person won't be offended. In fact, I keep my notes out where they see it so they know if I'm writing, I'm not writing about something else, I'm writing about them. And I've had people tell me they're actually flattered that you're writing down where they went to school, their wife's name, things like that. So if you do it openly, it doesn't seem creepy. Another great thing to do, and we learned this in Sears, is study the person's surroundings. When you walk into their office, when you walk into their home, look around. What do they have pictures of? What's hanging on their walls? They're telling you right there, this is what I'm interested in. This is my kid I'm proud of. This is my alma mater. This is the sport that I love. They're giving you the fodder of what they want to talk about. What are they wearing? Do they have pins on? I wear a rotary pin most of the time. If you ask me, hey, what's that pin? Oh, it's rotary, and let me talk about rotary. Man, I would be through the moon. People are eager to talk about those things. And the book goes into some anecdotes, and I've heard this over and over from other speakers about how you will later be thought of as a great conversationalist, even though you might not have said a thing. You just let them talk about your passion. So I love that one. And then the final one, make the other person feel important and do it sincerely. You'll almost never get into trouble. It will bring you countless friends and happiness. The book gives a couple things to do. They reference a waitress and using phrases such as, I'm sorry to trouble you, but would you mind? Or would you be so kind as to? Won't you please? Things like that. Phrases that show that you respect the other person's time. Even if, let's say, the waitress got your order wrong, be respectful of it rather than yelling at her. I can tell you, working backstage in food service, people will spit in your food. So don't piss off the waitress. Be kind, especially if they're busy. And right now, everyone's busy. The final thing that really stuck with me that Carnegie said is that everyone you meet feels superior to you in some way. They think they have a nicer car, they're smarter, they're a better family person, whatever. Cool. Let them have it. Let them have the win. You're not in competition. You're trying to make friends and allies. Let them subtly see that you recognize their importance. You have to be sincere about it. And if you are, you will win their heart. All right, it's discussion time. So which of these do you use? Do you become genuinely interested in other people? Are you a great smiler? Do you remember a person's name? Are you great with names? Are you a good listener? Do you talk in terms of other person's interest? And are you good at making the other person feel important? And what are you bad at? What do you need help with? All right, take some time to discuss with your group and shoot me your comments. I'd love to hear them. Other than that, we will talk to you next time.